I'm Carolyn Nichol, certified holistic nutritionist, and I want to talk to you today about picky eaters. You don't have to be a parent to experience picky eaters in your life. In fact, you may be a grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, or you're just trying to help your neighbor's family. But I find that today more than ever, we have picky eaters, and I'm going to give you 3 things that you can do to actually transform a picky eater to start making healthy food choices. So there's more than 3 things, but I'm going to throw a few things at you, but there's 3 main things. But number 1, education. So if you could get a child to a place where they understand what these different foods, how they affect the body. I used to work with different school boards, and we would actually get a live white blood cell, and we would call out different foods, and the kids would throw different color balls at them. But with the foods that had like no nutrient value, you know, things that kids like French fries, potato chips, white crackers, white rice, things like that, the white blood cell wouldn't get filled up. Now, when we call out food like spinach, like strawberries, like avocado, like beans, it would get filled up. And then we would get a big Joker costume on somebody, and they'd come around and they would pretend that they're a virus, and the white blood cell would be strong when it ate good food, and it would get sick when it didn't eat the good food. So am I suggesting you need to go and make costumes and do all of that? No, but somehow on a child's level, maybe use balloons, maybe you just make a picture of it, or maybe you can watch videos with the child or something like that. But they need to first of all understand, why do they have to make healthy food choices? Because the truth is that if they don't fill up that nutrient checklist every day, their immune system will not be strong. They won't be able to have the energy, the stamina. Maybe they'll feel like that when they're younger, but as they get older, of course, it's going to turn into health problems. And picky children become picky adults. And that's a whole other topic in itself. So I want to give you, education was not one, that was just a freebie. I want to give you 3 things that you can do to help your picky eater, even if it's not your own child, start to make healthy choices again. So number 1, first of all, is that you have to make some new rules at home. 3 rules. 1 is you have to try everything once. That sounds so simple. But if you could, as a family, or as a group, as a grandparents, just make the rule that no matter what I serve at any time, and of course, before you've come to that place, you've come together as a family or with your picky eaters, and you've let them know that we're going to make a few changes here, not to make everybody's life miserable, but we have to make healthier food choices as a family. So I'm going to start cooking some things like spinach. Maybe I'll make some hummus dips. I'm going to start doing some things, and nobody has to clean off the plate. But you do have to, everybody has to try everything once. Even if I made a spinach soup yesterday and then I put spinach in a dish tomorrow, you can't say, you know, I had spinach yesterday. No, everything I make, you have to try it once. What is the value of this? Is this just exercising your authority as a parent? Not necessarily, but I do believe we have to take the authority of parents back. However, what you're doing is you're training the palate. You see, as we get older, we lose our taste buds. So for a young child who's trying something, they get this big wow in their mouth, and it's like sometimes uncomfortable, sometimes it tastes all different ways the first time that they try something. But when they try it again, that wow is less. They keep trying it, it's less and less and less. So you're actually training those taste buds. And the reality is for instance, if the child doesn't like Brussels sprouts, you may write that off the list and never cook it again. They grow up saying, I hate Brussels sprouts. But what if they lose that I hate Brussels sprout taste bud in their mouth? Because they probably will. I'm sure you as adults can think about some things that you've had when you were younger that you didn't like, but you like when you're older. Because your taste buds change, you're losing them all the time. So if you could just establish that one rule, everybody here, including myself, will try everything once. You will begin to train taste buds, and you will also teach your child that I'm in charge, you're not in charge, and if the child doesn't want to try it, then they're excused from the table. They're not forced to, of course, taste everything, but there's, they also won't be having their favorite pasta dish. So everything has to be tasted once, and it's just not an option. There's no fight about it. There's no argument about it. It's just, this is our fun new rule. And as we do that, they will become more flexible eaters as well. A lot of parents will say, I remember working in a school board and I had a parent come up to me after I did this full seminar. She says, I love everything you're saying and you're so right. My child definitely needs to eat things like spinach and broccoli, but all he eats is potato chips, French fries, and pizza. Like, it's very difficult for me to get him to eat anything else. And I looked at the child who looked like about 9 years old and I said, wow, you really only eat pizza, potato chips? He says, sometimes chicken nuggets. I said, wow. So where do you work? He said, I don't work. I said, so where, do you drive? He's like, no. And the mom laughed. She says, he's 9 years old, or whatever age she said. I said, so how do you get the pizza and the chips and the French fries and the nuggets? How do you get those? He goes, my mom buys it for me, of course. Well, she froze for a minute and realized that she was the issue. If she stopped buying those things, would the kid starve? Maybe she's going to give it to him as a treat or reward once in a while, but we feed our kid because whatever they want, because we don't want the fight. But you don't have to become a drill sergeant parent. You just have to lay down some rules. Maybe Fridays you're going to get your pizza, but it's just not happening every day. So number 2 is a second rule is always asked to be excused from the table. This is a fantastic rule. It teaches mannerism, but here's the reason why I like this rule, because it enforces rule number 1. When everybody's eating together and you've served everything and there's some spinach, I don't know, maybe you've made like a spinach dish, plus, they've had, of course, their favorite dishes on this side as well. But the child's just like, okay, I'm done. And then they go and they leave and they start playing. Well, as you're cleaning up the table, you realize, hey, I don't think Sammy had the spinach. Are you going to call Sammy back an hour later to come and have the spinach? No, you certainly are not, because, it's over, digestion's already started, it's probably closer to bedtime, it doesn't even matter. You probably figured that out anyway while Sammy was in bed sleeping. So rule number 2, always asked to be excused from the table, helps enforce rule number 1, because what happens is Sammy says, I'm done, Mommy, I want to go play with my toys. Okay, may I please be excused from the table? So you just teach your children to say, thank you for the meal, may I please be excused? What happens is that gives you the authority back to say, I will excuse you. Did you have the salad? No, I didn't. Did you try the spinach? No, I didn't. Do you remember what our rule was? Right. So as soon as you have those 2, you can be excused and go play. And also understanding that it doesn't mean they have to have a full serving. It's like a couple tablespoons of each would be perfectly fine. That's the best way to train the palate. Rule number 3, which is not really a rule, but a tool, because I love to share tools and rules, especially when we're working with young people. This one is gem, and it's so simple, and it can help get almost any child to eat anything. Ready?